Hey everyone, Brayden here coming to you with our What's Coming to Walt Disney World in 2024 video. This is a video that we do every year, taking a look at what we have to look forward to at Walt Disney World over the next year. While the supply of new additions to look forward to is definitely on the decline at Walt Disney World due to a near halt in capital investment at the parks over the past few years, where that's really going to rear its ugly head is in 2025 and beyond. It actually turns out that this year we do have some pretty big changes to cover, but beyond 2024, it is a ghost town right now. So a big part of this year is going to be us waiting to hear from Disney what the plan is come Epic Universe, which opens down the street summer 2025. What's Disney got? What do they have that's going to rival that or do anything to draw crowds Disney's direction? The answer seems to be not much. We know they're considering putting Indiana Jones in the Animal Kingdom. They're considering this, they're considering that. I haven't told you guys this before, but lately it's been almost weekly where I'm hearing from our sources all these lofty new ideas that Imagineering has been working on, coming up with. It seems like there's some sort of interest from the executives and Imagineers coming up with ideas and proposing things. But then what's been happening also on a weekly basis is then we hear, oh, Walt Disney World's president, Jeff Volley, he said no. Walt Disney World's president, he said no, we don't want to do this, we don't want to do this. We never hear yes. It's always no, 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 and this cycle just keeps continuing and continuing, where Imagineers are trying to give us something, and then they end up giving us nothing because there is no money to do so, and there's all sorts of disagreement over the actual plans. And as a result, what you're seeing is you're seeing more and more Imagineers head out the door as they say, why bother? Why be here and nothing's actually happening? So Disney, this time for kicking the can down the road, it's over. It's time to put your money where your mouth is, because you've got some competitors who have some pretty exciting stuff on the way. And Disney, we're looking over at this and it's like, I don't know, man. Seems like there's not a whole lot going on, especially once we are into 2025. In 2024, though, the first big change will go into effect on January 9th, when date-based ticket holders will no longer be required to make park reservations in advance. Meaning when you go on Disney's site and you buy a ticket, Disney has you pick a specific day to use that ticket, a specific time frame. You won't have to commit on each day which park you're going to in advance. You don't have to say, oh, I'm going to go to the Magic Kingdom, and then you're locked into doing that. You can go wherever you want, which is quite nice. Now, unfortunately, this rule being lifted does not apply to annual pass holders, who will still have to make park reservations. But Disney is now rolling out good-to-go days where pass holders are not going to be required to make reservations in advance. But how many days out of each month are actually going to be those good-to-go days, we don't know just yet. And let me say, while these changes are welcome and that they are rolling back park reservations, which are the worst, they're making it more complicated. They're not just getting rid of the park reservations, they're still sort of keeping them, but you have to check the calendar, and certain times you don't have to get a reservation, and for certain ticket types you do. It's clear that Disney really loves the data that they've been able to mine off of our park reservations, as it gives them very good crowd projections for each park, so they know how much food they need, how many cast members they need on staff. But as a guest, you need a college degree in this stuff to even figure out all the nuances of it. There are way too many rules now. It's completely nuts. Disney, just pull the cord on this. Just get rid of the reservations. Just be done with it. There is way too much nuance to this for the average guest to understand, for even cast members to explain or understand themselves. It's a wild situation. The biggest news in this slate of changes going into effect on January 9th is that also on this day, the 2 p.m. park hopping rule is finally being lifted at long last for all ticket types, meaning for the first time in almost 4 years, you'll soon be able to head to the Magic Kingdom, for example, for breakfast in the morning, and then you can hop right over to Epcot, no matter what the time is. So you don't have to wait until 2 p.m. as you have the last few years to start using your park hopper option. Now, of course, this only applies to ticket types where you have that park hopper option enabled, but if you do, now you will not have to wait till 2 p.m. to use this paid perk. This is very exciting news. It's been amazing how slowly over the years we are just still seeing these 2020 era requirements just slowly be, taken off and us finally returning back to normal. We're still not even there yet, but we are getting closer here. And hopefully we're not too many days away from Disney just saying, okay, we're just going to be done with park reservations entirely. But there are reasons why they are still keeping them in effect for annual pass holders. And it might not just be data related. There might be reasons having to do with capacity issues because of the lack of things that there are to do at the parks relative to the crowds that are showing up. Last in the slate of changes set to kick into effect on January 9th, the Disney dining plan will be back in effect at restaurants across Walt Disney World. So if you have one, get on it, have fun using your Disney dining plan, and even if you're going to Walt Disney World and don't have a dining plan, now, January 9th and beyond, expect to start hearing again being asked, do you have the dining plan? Now this really goes to show you where we are right now with Disney. After January 9th, there is not a single big change coming to Walt Disney World with an official definitive date set. Everything we're going to talk about, the rest of this video, is either a rough time frame that Disney themselves provided officially, or it's a rough time frame that we obtained exclusively from our sources when we were researching this video who have knowledge of these 2024 additions. And I am not kidding when I tell you, Imagineers working on some of these projects don't know themselves when these projects will be done. There is a lack of strong leadership at the parks right now between Josh D'Amaro, the parks chairman, and Walt Disney World president Jeff Volley. And of course, you have the Disney accountants who are micromanaging every little project. Imagineering is having a hard time moving forward on hardly anything. You have the development side problem where nobody can agree on anything, and there's no Walt Disney or Michael Eisner in the room who can issue a clear directive. And then you have the construction problems where accountants make the construction of a simple bake shop at the boardwalk into a multi-year affair where they're trying to spread out the costs and contract as few workers as possible and just make it the cheapest possible thing that it can be by spreading out that expenditure over the years and putting as little capital into it, as little labor into it as possible. It is absolutely nuts. In the spring of 2024, Disney says Star Tours will be receiving a new mission centered around Ahsoka. So we do have a somewhat solid commitment on that addition, that being something that will debut in the spring at both Walt Disney World and Disneyland. It is something new for Hollywood Studios, which is good. We haven't seen a whole lot new since Galaxy's Edge opened, so there is that if you are a fan of Ahsoka and the Star Tours attraction. Where things really become more exciting insofar as 2024 additions go is this fall. So fall of 2024, that is when I strongly suspect most of the 2024 changes are going to finally materialize and be something manifest that we see in the parks. First up, we have one project that is really the exception to what I've been saying about how Imagineering can't, do anything. Their hands are totally tied. They're not really, nothing's getting green lit. Imagineering does in fact have a budget for a serious update to the Country Bears show in Frontierland at the Magic Kingdom, something that they are working on right now on the development end with the content for the show, where right now they are recording the Country Bears we know and love singing various iconic Disney songs in a very funny and lighthearted way. I've even heard that a couple of the existing songs in the existing show will in fact be sticking around. And the big deal with this Country Bears update isn't just the new songs Imagineering is recording as we speak, it's also the next generation animatronic upgrades the show will be receiving soon, where hydraulics will be replaced with modern servo motors, ensuring that we will have the Country Bears in the Magic Kingdom for a long time to come. The timeline for this that I have heard is in the spring, the existing Country Bears show will close for refurbishment, and then come this fall, if all goes well, the updated show will premiere to guests. And everyone working on this seems to be really happy with what they're working on so far. So just based on that positive sentiment from our sources alone, I'm going to say this is something that we can definitely look forward to in this next year, in 2024. It's not every day that in the current bureaucracy, you see creatives at the parks really excited with what they're working on bringing to guests. A lot of time they just say, well, Brayden, it was an honor to work on it, and they really don't say much more than that. But on this project in particular, there does seem to be some excitement. So we'll see how that turns out. Also this fall, and this one is an official time frame from Disney, After over 4 years of downtime, the Voyage of the Little Mermaid at Disney's Hollywood Studios in the animation courtyard area will return as an updated show, which will be called The Little Mermaid, a musical adventure. Why Disney had to change the name of the show and completely redo the show? It's probably so that they don't have to hire as many equity actors to run the show. Who knows? But now they're gonna have to redo the whole facade, the signage and all of that. So there's another expense for you. We always hear about it. Disney wants to save money, and then, yet we always get all these like random tweaks that seem totally unnecessary, but we will see how that new show turns out. It should be quite similar to what we had with Voyage of the Little Mermaid. Around this same fall time frame, perhaps even a little earlier if you want to be bullish, over at Epcot, the Communicore Hall and Plaza will be opening in the middle of the park with that all-new building, which will feature an indoor portion for festival activities and an outdoor area for live entertainment. The building will also be home to an indoor Mickey and Friends meet and greet area, which was included in this project due to the abandonment of the Play Pavilion plan for the Wonders of Life Pavilion, which, as you recall, was going to become the meet and greet hub for Epcot. And now that project is, it seems like, indefinitely on hold or pretty much just totally off the table at this point. For the time being, it appears that the classic Disney character meet and greets in Epcot will be picking back up exactly where they used to be when this used to be Innoventions West, but now it'll be in this new building constructed on the same spot. The hope at Disney is that the Communicore Hall area will be ready in time for next year's Epcot Food and Wine Festival, which is likely to start in July. But given some conversations that our viewers had with Imagineers on the opening day where you had the Walt statue and all that debut in Epcot, it seemed that the Imagineers were unwilling to say definitively if this would be ready in the summer, in the spring, in 2024 even, which was a bit concerning. So it could be that this building opens sometime during the Food and Wine Festival, perhaps in the fall. So the earliest that I would promise this Communicore Hall building and say that you should expect it to be open is the fall, but I do think that this is something that could be ready this summer if Disney put their money where their mouth is, finished this project, and got it open. It is pretty far along. Also in the fall of 2024, it is projected that the DVC Tower at Disney's Polynesian Village Resort will begin welcoming guests. And remember, there are also new cabins Disney announced last year, which should be nearing completion around the same time as the unnamed DVC Tower at the Polynesian. Moving over to Disney's Animal Kingdom, also during this broad, very approximate fall 2024 timeframe, I expect two things to happen. First, It's Tough to Be a Bug will close to make way for the Zootopia update announced at last year's Destination D23 event. We've heard Disney wants to get that update started before they close another attraction that also eats up a lot of guests at Disney's Animal Kingdom. We're going to be losing a lot of capacity in this park this year. Dinosaur, that is also something that will be closing this fall, I do believe, which will then begin its update into Indiana Jones. Now, Disney says that this is still an idea, it's in its idea stage, so nothing is definite here, but barring some sort of black swan event, some sort of stock market crash, things of this nature, it should set up that we see It's a Bug's Life and Dinosaur close sometime in this fall area of the year. Now, this update to Dinosaur is quite interesting because it already shares the ride system that you have with Indiana Jones Adventure out in Disneyland. But I do want to note that this is not going to have the same interior. It is another Indiana Jones attraction which uses the same vehicles, but this attraction is going to be focused on a Mayan theme, which according to our sources working on the project will, believe it or not, perhaps tie into the theme of the park more than we expect, where it may be more focused on the real-life culture of this underdeveloped region of the world and less just on Indiana Jones as an intellectual property. But it will feature Indy in there, which will aid in the marketing of the reimagined Dinosaur attraction. All this is to say, if you're going to Disney anytime soon, make sure to pay your last respects to It's Tough to Be a Bug and Dinosaur, because barring some sort of black swan event, as I said, which could affect Disney's access to capital in 2024, these two attractions should be closed come late 2024. Finally, arriving at late 2024 openings, we have the time zone where we are currently expecting Tiana's Bayou Adventure will make its world premiere at the Magic Kingdom in what is Frontierland at least currently. If you look at the latest exterior progress on this attraction, it doesn't seem like it's really trying to fit in with the existing street that you have in Frontierland. As we talked about a lot last year, I believe that this area is going to become a New Orleans area, which is sort of going to be like a mini New Orleans Square, where across the street from Splash Mountain, Pecos Bills will be rethemed into a Tiana themed restaurant, a Bayou themed restaurant, which will help with this area sort of having its own identity and its own theme that isn't just relegated to this one mountain that looks like a rainforest cafe. Now, something I've been thinking about as of late, which we really haven't covered at all, and I'm not sure Disney's really thought much about it either, unfortunately, is the Splash Mountain play area. Do you guys remember that little kids area, play area that is under the train station? It's like the shaded area where there was this area that you could play, where kids could hang out and beat the heat and families would sit around nearby. Well, Disney is in the process of demolishing that play area. And it's sad to me because it feels like these updates we're getting, they result in us having less to do than before, right? We look at what Universal's doing, and not to do like a whole Disney Universal thing, but just as an example, Universal is expanding. They are taking things that are currently nothing and they're making them into something. Whereas what Disney's doing is they're trying to maintain what they have. They're updating things that they currently have. This isn't an expansion. And in fact, it seems like they might be taking away from what was already here. And not even getting into Splash Mountain versus Tiana or anything like that. We haven't seen the final product yet. Even just, if you look at the numbers of all of it, Disney continues building more and more hotels. More and more hotels keep being built around Disney. So we keep having all these new people that are in the Disney area that want to go to Disney, that are coming into Disney. And then once they get there, there are the same or fewer things to do than there were before, when there were fewer hotel rooms and fewer guests going to the park. So when you look at these wait times on these holiday weekends, and they're crazy, and to do Lightning Lane or Genie Plus, it's like $30 per person or something. No wonder that's the case. We get constant new hotel capacity, yet the few additions that we have in the pipeline here are all updates to existing people eaters, to existing attractions that already eat up tons of guests and contribute capacity to the parks. Disney's closing these for years and years, which reduces the capacity in the parks, which I think is a big reason why Disney isn't fully getting rid of park reservations, because Disney's park operations are well aware of this deficiency. And what it means is longer lines and pushing guests towards paying for all these upcharges, all these additional in-app purchases with Genie Plus and Lightning Lane. Not to mention there's less for kids to do. Here you have the play area being demolished, and even the ride itself, is a ride themed around a food co-op really aimed at children. It doesn't really seem like that's the target audience. And even for adults, which Disney seems to be trying to attract, after all, adults are the ones with the money. Well, what about guests who already bought flights, bought hotels, bought rental cars, bought Disney tickets, bought tons of food, bought tons of merchandise? After you've done all those things, what is left for you to do besides wait in extremely long lines at these overly strained existing attractions? That is the main current issue at Walt Disney World right now, besides the funding problem. The executives, they are not putting the money into the parks that we need, but it's also about where that money goes. We need expansions at the existing parks. People talk about a fifth park. The current executives are not building a fifth park. That's out of the question. We need expansions at the existing parks very, very badly. There need to be more things to do, more places for guests to populate, big and small. So here's to hoping that Disney makes this area into something, a Tiana-themed play area, something for children, hopefully. But given what Disney did with the former Innoventions and the fountain area at the heart of Epcot, replacing all of that with planters and ultimately food booths, which generate revenue, it's likely that we can expect more of the same in areas like this. And I know there's going to be people who say, Brayden, I came here to get hyped up about Disney in 2024. Why are you being negative? This year, I'm just going to cease entertaining the Disney shills, who have no clue what's really happening at the company. So from their perspective, it's, oh, you're being negative. Oh, you're just, trying to get views or whatever. I started this channel to be somewhere where you could hear good news about exciting new park expansions. Something where you finish a long day at work, you come home, you turn on Mickey Views, and you get to learn about all the new exciting stuff that you have to look forward to on your next vacation. But guess what? we aren't getting that right now. And there is a reason why we aren't getting big new things coming to Walt Disney World. There are leaders in this company and they are doing a terrible job. And we are going to expose that here on this channel. Imagineering is working on bringing us stuff. They have endless ideas of things that they could do, endless ideas for Josh tomorrow to go up on stage and tell us he's considering. But you know what happens? Every single one of these, almost all of them, end up getting shut down as soon as they are proposed by none other than Jeff Volley at Walt Disney World, who is extremely cheap. And in the meantime, Disney is losing talent. Self-respecting creatives are leaving and going to greener pastures, and I'm not just talking about Universal. We're going to start covering some other things, some other places Imagineers are going where there's some very exciting stuff going on, and it's not Disney. And the creatives who are masochistic enough to stick around or are like me and say, hey, you know, maybe things will turn around. You know, I'm still a huge Disney fan. I believe in Walt and all of this. Right now, they're in the process of doing a reorg at Imagineering where right now nobody knows who's even in charge, where they put in lights in the middle of Epcot and then they're power washed and then they're immediately broken and the Imagineers aren't sure who's supposed to do what. It's an absolute mess. We have cost cuts happening on important maintenance on the park attractions, especially at Walt Disney World. And we're going to get into this year. We're going to cover some of the maintenance stuff going on because it's getting really bad. We have some specific examples of maintenance cuts happening on the attractions at Walt Disney World, which are seriously concerning. And all the while, the folks who are leading Walt Disney World and leading Disney, they just seem to be running out the clock. Meanwhile, they're just collecting their paycheck, they're collecting their bonuses, and they're doing this at the expense of the future performance and the reputation of these parks that Walt and his disciples worked so tirelessly to create over so many years. So in 2024, I'm going to continue to do exactly what I've been doing and what I've been moving towards, which is reporting the news as a true fan who is concerned about the health of this great resort and tell you exactly what is going on, stuff that you're not going to hear anywhere else, because there are people at Disney who know I'm speaking the truth and they reach out to me because they want people to know what's going on. And it won't just be highlighting what's going wrong at Disney. We'll even get into some of these Imagineering concepts that I've been alluding to, that I've been hearing about as of late, that the cheap executives like Josh and Jeff keep turning down. You know, maybe if we knew what we could be getting, if the executives were actually doing their job right, maybe that'll compel them to start actually doing stuff and delivering. So all I ask of you is to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. Make sure these videos are showing up in your subscriptions feed, because lately some people have not been getting these videos in their subscriptions feed, even though they are subscribed. So if that's you, you might just want to resubscribe just to be sure, turn on those notifications and all of that. And also you can find out how to support us over at mickeyviews.com/support. So I want to wish all of you a very happy new year and a 2024 that brings all of you great fortune. I've got some big plans for this year, both on this channel as well as our sister channel, Address Unknown, which was on a bit of a hiatus this past year due to some extenuating circumstances where I had a lot going on in my personal life and moving and things of this nature. And also I was doing a ton of research for some videos that we have coming up over there. So it was not a lost year by any means. It was definitely necessary. And I'm very, very excited for all that we have coming both over there as well as over here at Mickey Views in particular. And I want to thank all of you for your continued support. Thank you so much for watching. From the Mickey Views Magic Studio, this is Brayden. Have a magical day.